Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a fresh and simple birthday card to share with you using the cake time from Hello Bluebird along with my favorite things, Stencil, the watercolor wash stencil. Now first of all I am starting with my images. I took a few from the cake time stamp set from Hello Bluebird and I am going to color them with my Copics. Now normally I try to limit the amount of colors, but today I am not. Today I'm going for a really bright, festive, rainbow kind of color scheme here, and I'm going to reuse the colors from the banner all over on the accessories as well. But truly I find that I used a lot of colors for this card. All really bright. I'm not going heavily on my darkest Copic to have tons of the word is just slipping my mind, contrast. I don't necessarily want a ton of contrast. I am having a gradient in my blending, in my combination, but not too heavy this time. Okay, so for the yellow I added it to the balloon. The red I will add to the head of the bunny as well. It's more of a pinkish reddish color. The pig will also get a green head and then the raccoon will get a blue head. And that's sort of how I try to have all of the colors balanced out by adding all of them at least once on the accessories. In case you want to revisit Copic combinations, they are always listed on my blog post as clear as possible. So if you want to revisit them later on, or if you're not writing down right now, you can always find them there. Also a supply list, but that one you can also find in the description box down below. Now onto the critters. For this bunny I'm going with some warm brown combination. Then I have the pig and then the raccoon. All really simple. I'm working my way from darkest to lightest, and I'm trying to have the shadows every time on the left side, which was a bit hard for the raccoon because that one is facing towards the left, and for me just that's a bit strange to do shadowing like that, but I just wanted to have everything the same way because I had no clue yet how I was going to position everything on top of my card. So to already help me with that and not have shadows going everywhere, I decided to have everything on the left side. So I'm just working my way through my combination. I think my favorite image from this stamp set is this bunny because of the balloon. I have a soft spot for critters with balloons. They are really adorable. Sometimes hard to cut out because the balloon string can be a bit loose or fragile when placing it into your MISTI. But in this case, this stamp, it was really sturdy, so I wasn't bothered about die cutting first. But in case you are scared that it might be a bit wonky while stamping it and then not matching with the dies, you can always first die cut, then inlay the pieces in that negative of your die cutting and then stamping out your images. But in this case, it didn't seem necessary. So for the pig, I find it really funny because actually, except for the darkest marker here, it's a combination that I also use for my skin tone. So it's a bit strange maybe that the pig has exactly those markers, but I love it. I think it's a great combination, and without the darkest one, I really think it works for skin tone. I'm also using a few of these markers to help me with the ears of the bunny later on for the raccoon as well. And then the pig is ready as well. Now the only thing that I was trying to make sure of was the moment that I started on the tree trunk that I had a completely different brown combination. So that one will be way darker than the bunny. but the lightest marker also returns. It's like the E33 again. That one you will see in all of my brown combinations whenever I can. So here onto the tree trunk, I am starting with my darkest. This time it's E59, then I'm doing E57, and I'm finishing it with E33. And in the beginning I was really subtle with the amount of dark marker, but I ended up adding way more on the other layer. And if you want to, you can follow the nerves of the tree, but I didn't do that. It was already enough by just adding shadows on the left side for me. In case you go outside your lines and you're new to Copics, or even if you're not new to Copics, for me personally, the colorless blender is a lifesaver. I never color without it, so even here, like, I'm going outside the lines, no worries. I have a colorless blender to push back that color and to have that nice white border when I go to die cut these images. So already on my final image here, just using some warm grays for the raccoon, I'm using the W6, W5, then the W5, W3, W2, and then for the ears there I will use E13, E11 to have that center. Now about this card, the most spectacular thing for me personally about this card was that I decided to add some white jelly roll pen details to my images, which I never do, or barely ever. Why? Because I just find it really scary. I don't know where to add them, how many to add them, and all those things that go along with the white jelly roll pen details. Whenever I add them already ahead of time, or on other cards that I made, it was on the eyes to have a tiny highlight, or when did I add them? To add some dots on the scarf or some stripes there. Really simple things, but not really highlights. So today I did that, and well, I had fun adding them. I think it worked out, but I'm really insecure about it, so I know that not every time, every card I will do that. I'm really not an expert in that, so if you want some great tips about adding highlights, definitely check out other YouTubers, people on Instagram, Facebook and such. I know that Christy is really good in that. I love her. She has some great combinations as well. I think it's Christy Gets Crafty. Christy. She's also on the design team of Hello Bluebird and Long Fawn. It's Christy Gets Crafty. She's great. She's incredible. She adds highlights like a pro. She can combine these most incredible pattern papers together. I'm already really proud whenever I use one pattern paper on my card, but combining them I find it really hard. Okay, but for my card, I wanted to have my background sort of match with the colors that I used on my images. And except for the pink, I tried to add all of those bright colors. So I have the Twisted Citron to represent the green, and I have a bit of it's what? Squeezed Lemonade to represent the yellow, and then Twisted Citron, of course, for the blue combination that I used. And I try to just add it on the edges of this shape, this stencil. I also contemplated adding splatters. That would have been fun as well, but I didn't do that in the end. Maybe just to prevent my paper to act strange, because Transotype perfect coloring paper isn't really good with handling water. So therefore I try to avoid that. For the sentiment, I have the birthday script sentiment stamp set from Hello Bluebird, which is the perfect match for this stamp, the cake time stamp. So I went for a really simple one, the birthday hugs. You can combine it with tons of sets. But I mean, in this stamp set, there is also cake time and such things, and it's great for Cake Time stamp set itself. So now I'm going to add all of the images. I'm going to add some of them straight on top of my panel, and then I will use some thin foam squares for the others, just to play a bit with dimension, but not to have to worry about adding multiple layers of dimension on top of each other. So therefore the raccoon, the pig and the bunny will get some foam tape, actually all of the critters, but like the accessories for the background are straight on top. So a really fun card. Also for me personally, everyone has his own interpretation. But for me personally, this is a clean and simple card, although I have quite a lot of images. So I don't know about you, but in case clean and simple, I talked about it for the contest from my favorite things with my entry. If you love adding scenes and such, this is more of a scene kind of clean and simple card in my opinion, but it works as well. So maybe this is a clean and simple card that works for you, and others might be completely outside of your comfort zone. It all depends. But for me, this one is also clean and simple. So for the bunny, as you probably saw, I added twice the layers of the thin foam squares to just have it a bit higher up, more in front of the other images. And then I started adding highlights. I don't know what it was today when I created this card. I used tons of colors, I used my white jelly roll pen, but I really love how it turned out. It's really festive and joyful, and it's just perfect for a birthday card. So I just went all over. I also decided to add all of my highlights on the darkest area of my image, which is not necessarily the most logical area, since a highlight, well, it's more kind of on the light side, but I think it stands out more when you add it to the darkest side, so you do you, of course, and I'm definitely not an expert. But I had fun adding them, trying to find a logic in the way I positioned them. Sometimes a stripe, sometimes a dot, sometimes 2 dots and a stripe, sometimes 2 stripes and a dot. I don't know what I was doing, but I really like it. So I'm just going to add this panel on top of a card base. I also decided to add a bit of stickles on the party hats, and then my card will be completely finished. You can definitely add more if you want to, more embellishments, maybe glossy accents somewhere, but I decided to leave it as is because I think there is already enough going on. So this is my card for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video, that you got inspired. I want to wish you all an incredible day, and I'll be back soon with some new craft inspiration. Bye!